Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, March 8th, 2021. Today I'm going to recap all the weekends: college basketball, NBA, All-Star Weekend, Major League Baseball Spring Training, and NHL games looking ahead to everything. Tonight, we will go over the NASCAR races and the Arnold Palmer Invitational, the latest news and notes, and my best bet of the day. We're going to start in college basketball. We'll go over everything from Friday all the way to yesterday. So, without further ado, here we go. A10 quarterfinal, St. Bonaventure over Duquesne, 75-59. MVC quarterfinal, number 20, Loyola Chicago over Southern Illinois, 73-49. Morgan State over Delaware State, 92-67. A10 quarterfinal, St. Louis over UMass, 86-72. A-Sun semifinal, Liberty over Stetson, 77-64. Montana State over Sacramento State, 77-75. Rice over Our Lady, 80-77. MVC quarterfinal, Indiana State over Evansville, 53-43. Idaho State loses at Eastern Washington, 75-62. VC over Dayton, 73-68 in the A10 quarterfinal. St. Peter's over Quinnipiac, 66-64. Monmouth over Rider, 65-62. Northern Illinois over Central Michigan, 79-74. SoCon first round Citadel over Western Carolina, 186. A10 quarterfinal, Davidson over George Mason, 99-67. FA over Middle Tennessee, 63-54. Miami over Boston College, 80-76. Fairfield over Manhattan, 85-67. Buffalo over Kent State, 81-67. Sunbelt first round, Arkansas State over Georgia Southern, 62-58. Sunbelt first round, South Alabama over Yale Monroe, 80-72. Montana over Warner Pacific, 92-61. Canisius over Siena, 76-75. Marshall over Charlotte, 75-67. A-Sun semifinal, North Alabama over Florida Gulf Coast, 96-81. Toledo over Ball State, 89-70. Eastern Michigan over Western Michigan, 64-63. Hawaii over UC Davis, 73-68. UC Riverside over Cal State Northridge, 72-68. UC Irvine over Long Beach State, 71-68 in overtime. Old Dominion over Western Kentucky, 71-69. UAB over North Texas, 65-51. SoCon first round, Mercer over Sanford, 87-59. Georgia Tech over Wake, 75-63. Tarleton over Texas Rio Grande, 65-47. Arkansas Pine Bluff over Mississippi Valley State, 82-59. UC San Diego over Cal State Fullerton, 89-85. UC Santa Barbara over Cal Poly, 71-57. Belmont over Jacksonville State, 72-69. The OVC semifinal. App State over Little Rock, 67-60 in the Sun Belt first round. New Mexico State over Dixie State, 76-66. Nevada over Colorado State, 85-82. Loyola Marymount over San Francisco, 70-66 in the West Coast Conference second round. Missouri State over Valpo, 66-55 in the MVC quarterfinal. Troy over Texas Darlington, 91-86 in the Sun Belt first round. Utah Valley over Grand Canyon, 59-55. Seattle over Cal Baptist, 80-79. Morgan State over Eastern Kentucky, 67-64 in the OVC semifinal. Santa Clara over Pacific, 81-76 in the West Coast Conference second round. And Northern Iowa and Drake was canceled due to COVID issues with Northern Iowa, so Drake got the automatic boost to the semifinal. Saturday's results: Notre Dame over number 11 Florida State, 83-73. Kentucky over South Carolina, 92-64. Loyola Maryland over Navy, 76-68 in the Patriot League quarterfinal. Bryant over Sacred Heart, 85-55 in the NEC semifinal. Greensboro over Citadel, 80-72 in the SoCon quarterfinal. UConn over Georgetown, 98-82. Rutgers over Minnesota, 77-70 in overtime. Clemson over Pitt, 77-62. MVC semifinal, number 20 Loyola Chicago over Indiana State, 65-49. Wofford over Mississippi State, 78-71. Colgate over Boston University, 77-69 in the Patriot League quarterfinal. Sacramento State over Montana State, 74-73. Wichita State over South Florida, 80-63. Number 17 Oklahoma State over number 6 West Virginia, 85-80. And that was without Cade Cunningham, so that's a great win for Oklahoma State and a bad loss for West Virginia. Number 8 Alabama over Georgia, 89-79. Number 23 Purdue over Indiana, 67-58. Utah over Arizona State, 98-59. UMass Lowell over UMBC, 79-77 in the AEC semifinal. Marshall over Charlotte, 75-66. Bucknell over Lafayette, 92-84. Mount St. Mary's over Wagner, 66-60. That was Northeast semifinal. And Bucknell Lafayette, obviously, Patriot League quarterfinal. Providence upsets number 10 Villanova, 54-52, as Villanova gets another injury in this game. East Tennessee State over Chattanooga, 63-53 in the SoCon quarterfinal. Northwestern State over Central Arkansas, 79-70. LSU over Missouri, 86-80. Alon over Towson, 69-48 in the CAA first round. Army over American, 89-66 in the Patriot quarterfinal. Southern Utah over Portland State, 73-54. Prairie View over Alcorn State, 81-69. Number 4 Illinois over number 7 Ohio State, 73-68. And IU DeSam, who has to be the player of the year in my opinion. Number 21 Virginia over Louisville, 68-58. Montana over Warner Pacific, 80-62. Hartford over Vermont, 71-65 in the AEC semifinal. USC over UCLA, 64-63. Abilene Christian over Incarnate Word, 85-60. Drake over Missouri State, 71-69 FVC semifinal. Texas Southern over Southern, 80-74. Number 12 Arkansas over Texas A&M, 87-80. Number 14 Creighton over Butler, 93-73. Delaware State over Morgan State, 82-75. Kansas State over Iowa State, 61-56. So Iowa State takes an 0-4 in conference play. Western Kentucky over Old Dominion, 60-57. UAB over North Texas, 65-61. Lamar over McNeese, 60-51. Mercer over Wofford, 62-61 in the SoCon quarterfinal. Louisiana over South Alabama, 79-68 in the Sun Belt quarterfinal. UNC over Duke, 91-73. A&M Corpus Christi over Houston Baptist, 94-70. Stephen F. Austin over Sam Houston State, 64-59. St. Bonaventure over St. Louis, 71-53 in the A-10 semifinal. Georgia State over Arkansas State, 71-68 in the Sun Belt quarterfinal. Jackson State over Alabama State, 79-54. South Dakota State over Omaha, 84-71 in the Summit League quarterfinal. Ole Miss over Vandy, 56-46. UNC Wilmington loses to William & Mary, 60-73 in the CAA first round. St. John's over Seton Hall, 81-71. UC Davis over Hawaii, 74-66. UC Riverside over Cal State Northridge, 66-65. UC Irvine over Long Beach State, 73-58. VMI over Furman, 91-90 in overtime in the SoCon quarterfinal. New Orleans over Southeast Louisiana, 81-76 in overtime. Tarleton over Texas Rio Grande, 69-58. UC San Diego over Cal State Fullerton, 85-78. Santa Barbara over Cal Poly, 70-54. Moorhead over Belmont, 86-79 to win the OVC title as Moorhead State goes on to the big dance. In Belmont, I don't think 11 at large. Oof, that's a tough way for Belmont season to end. Coastal over Troy, 86-68 in the Sun Belt quarterfinal. New Mexico State over Dixie State, 68-56. St. Mary's over Loyola Marymount, 52-47 in the WCC quarterfinal. App State over Texas State, 76-73 in overtime in the Sun Belt quarterfinal. VC over Davidson, 64-52 in the A-10 semifinal. Marquette over Xavier, 66-59. Grand Canyon over Utah Valley, 74-64. Cal Baptist over Seattle, 79-76. Grambling over Alabama A&M, 80-72. South Dakota over Western Illinois, 86-69 the Summit League quarterfinal. Utah State over Fresno State, 57-51. Wyoming over UNLV, 80-69. And Pepperdine over Santa Clara, 78-70 in the WCC quarterfinal. Sunday, Hofstra over Delaware, 83-75 in the CAA quarterfinal. Number 9 Houston over Memphis, 67-64 on a buzzer beater half-court shot by Traymon Mark. What a win for Houston. That can catapult them to a number 1 seed in the tournament potentially. Too bad I'm not doing a mock bracket today. Just don't have time for it. We'll do it tomorrow, I promise. Tennessee over Florida, 65-54. Winthrop over Campbell, 80-53 in the Big South final as Winthrop goes to the big dance. Number 5 Iowa over number 25 Wisconsin, 77-73. Cincinnati over East Carolina, 82-69. Northwestern over Nebraska, 79-78. Liberty over North Alabama, 79-75 to win the ace on auto bid. Well, Liberty really clinched it Saturday night because North Alabama was ineligible, unfortunately. So Liberty to the big dance. Number 20, Loyola Chicago over Drake, 75-65 as Loyola Chicago punches its ticket to the big dance as Drake has to sit on their heels for potentially an at-large. Alon over James Madison, 72-71 to CAA quarterfinal. Number 3, Baylor over number 18, Texas Tech, 88-73. Michigan State over number 2, Michigan, 70-64. UNT Greensboro over East Tennessee State, 77-67 in the SoCon semifinal. Northeastern over William & Mary, 63-47 in the CAA quarterfinal. Georgia State over Louisiana, 84-73 in the Sun Belt semifinal. Royal Roberts over North Dakota, 76-65 in the Summit League quarterfinal. Number 15, Texas over TCU, 76-64. Penn State over Maryland, 66-61. Mercer over VMI, 73-59 in the SoCon semifinal. Oregon over Oregon State, 80-67. App State over Coastal Carolina, 64-61 in overtime in the Sun Belt semifinal. Drexel over Charleston 80-75 in the CAA quarterfinal. And North Dakota State over UMKC 69-65 in the Summit League quarterfinal. Today's window is not big at all. It's just a lot of semifinals and championships going on today. And some of them are getting underway. CAA semifinal, 6 o'clock, CBS Sports Network. You have Alon and Hofstra. My projections, Hofstra 7.5, total 138.5. ESPN doesn't have it. FanDuel could very well have it. I hope they do, because it's a big game, for crying out loud. As Hofstra's giving 5 and the total is 139. I'm going to lay the 5 with Hofstra at minus 106. 6:30 ESPNU, Milwaukee and Cleveland State in the Horizon League semifinal. I'm at Cleveland 17, total 147.5. And it's 3.5 and 140.5. I love Cleveland State tonight. Love them. I think Milwaukee is super overrated. I could be proven wrong, and Milwaukee can win outright as a plus 150 underdog. I'm going to lay the 3.5 with Cleveland State tonight against Milwaukee in the Horizon League semifinal. This is such a lopsided number for a semifinal game. 6:45 Summit League semifinal. You got Earl Roberts and South Dakota State. I'm at South Dakota State 4.5, total 155.5. Meanwhile, it's 4.5 and 163.5. That is way too high of a total. I'm taking the under. I'm at 155.5. 8-point differential, and 155.5 is still pretty high. Ryder Canisius, Metro Atlantic first round. I'm at Canisius 12, total 141. And we don't have a line out for this game yet, but if Ryder is minus 14 or larger, I'd take Ryder. If Ryder is anything less than 10.5, I'd take Ryder. If it's 14 or higher, I'd take Canisius. If it's 10.5 or lower, I'd take Ryder. And if the total is 143 or higher, I'm taking the under. Or if it's 139 or lower, I'm going to take the over. ESPN 2, App State, Georgia State Sunbelt final. I project Georgia State by 8, total 143.5. Meanwhile, it's 7 and 137.5. I love the over in this game. Love it. Georgia State's a better offensive team than this number suggests. I'm going to go over 137.5 at minus 106. And I do think Georgia State will punch their ticket to the big dance tonight. SoCon final on ESPN tonight. Mercer and UNC Greensboro. I'm at Greensboro 8, total 145.5. And it's Greensboro 4, total 136.5. I love the over in this spot. I have a 9-point edge on the over. I like Greensboro too, but the over is the play here. Over 136.5. Like I said, I do think Greensboro will win, but my podcast plays over 136.5. 9 o'clock on ESPN, you have St. Mary's against number 1 Gonzaga in the WCC semifinal. I'm at Gonzaga 15.5, total 144. Well, it's 18 and 143. I'm taking St. Mary's in the 18. It's only a 2.5-point edge, but I'm just banking on the Gales to cover, not win, obviously. 9:30 CBS Sports Network CAA semifinal, Drexel Northeastern. I'm at Northeastern 5.5. Total 137.5. Meanwhile, it's Drexel 1.5, total 131. Wrong team's favor. I'm taking Northeastern plus 1.5 and plus 106 straight up. Northeastern's been in a ton of big games over the past couple years. They have a good coach in Bill Cohen, so I'm taking Northeastern plus 1.5 against Drexel. ESPN 2 Horizon League semifinal, Northern Kentucky and Oakland. I'm at Northern Kentucky by 9.5, total 150. And it's 1 and 148. I'm laying the 1 with Northern Kentucky against Oakland. I know some people are going to be screaming wrong team's favor, but no, the right team's favor, but the line is just way off. So I'm laying the 1 with Northern Kentucky. 9:45 Summit League semifinal, North Dakota State and South Dakota. I'm at North Dakota State by a half, total 142.5. Meanwhile, it is North Dakota State by 2.5, total 139.5. I'm taking the over. I do think North Dakota State will win. But I do have an edge on South Dakota from a spread perspective, but I like the over better, 139.5 at minus 106. And last but not least, midnight Eastern on ESPN 2. Pepperdine, BYU, WCC semifinal. I'm at BYU 7.5, total 148. Well, it's 8.5 and 148.5. Oof. It's a bettor's worst nightmare. I have a slightly bigger edge on Pepperdine. I'll take Pepperdine 8.5 for the podcast stake, but I wouldn't bet it. All right, so there you have it for college basketball for the weekend. Now we're going to do NHL from the weekend, just go over all the results, and then look ahead to tonight's window of games. Friday, Bruins over the Caps 5-1, Blackhawks over the Lightning 4-3 in a shootout, Avs over the Ducks 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by Valeri Nishkinen. Wild over the Coyotes 5-1, Blues over the Kings 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by Mike Hoffman. And the Golden Knights over the Sharks 5-4 in overtime on a game winner by Max Pacioretty. Saturday, Rangers over the Devils 6-3, Isles over the Sabres 5-2, Pens over the Flyers 4-3, Panthers over the Preds 6-2, Canadians over the Jets 7-1, Canucks over the Maple Leafs 4-2, Coyotes over the Wild 5-2, Stars over the Blue Jackets 5-0, Ducks over the Avs 5-4 in overtime on a game winner by Ryan Getzlaf. Kings over the Blues 4-3 in overtime on a game winner by Adrian Kempe. Oilers over the Flames 3-2. And Golden Knights over the Sharks 4-0. Sunday, Islanders over the Sabres 5-2. Lightning over the Blackhawks 6-3. Hurricanes over the Panthers 4-2. Devils over the Bruins 1-0. Caps over the Flyers 3-1. Pens over the Rangers 5-1. Preds over the Sharks 4-3 in a shootout. Sens over the Flames 4-3 in a shootout. Small slate tonight, only 6 games. At 8 o'clock, you have the Golden Knights and the Wild. The Golden Knights are minus 130 favorites. Minnesota's plus 110. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 120. Unders minus 102. Vegas minus 1.5 is plus 202. Wild plus 1.5 is minus 250. I'm going to go with the ballsy play here of under 5.5. Vegas goaltending is pretty good. I don't trust Minnesota's offense all that well, despite having a nice game recently over the Coyotes. But I'm going to go under 5.5. I think that this could be a 4-1 Vegas win or a 3-2 Vegas win or something like that. 9 o'clock, Senators, Oilers. Edmonton's minus 255. Ottawa's plus 210. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Ottawa plus 1.5 is minus 126. Edmonton minus 1.5 is plus 105. Ooh, this is hard. I'm going to go with another valuable under 6.5 at minus 104. Matt Murray hasn't been all that bad for Ottawa, but it might be their backup today. Let me see if Murray played last night. And he did. But Ottawa's just a low-scoring team, period. But I know they've been scoring of late. But the bank on it under. Bank on a 4-2 type of game. Next up, you got the Coyotes and the Avs. Avs are minus 200. Coyotes plus 168. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 116. Under is minus 114. Coyotes plus 1.5 is minus 170. Avs minus 1.5 is plus 140. I'm going to go over 5.5 at minus 106. Coyotes, despite one goal against the Wild the other day, been scoring some goals, but the thing is that their goaltending has been great, and Colorado, as we know, is an offensive juggernaut. To go over 5.5 at minus 106. Blues, Sharks. The Blues are minus 172. The Sharks are plus 144. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 104. Unders minus 128. Blues minus 1.5 is plus 158. Sharks plus 1.5 is minus 192. I'm going to go with the over 6.5 and plus 104. Both these teams have been scoring the puck a lot of late. I know Sharks were shut out, but I could see them bouncing back. I could see this being a 4-3 game either way. 10 o'clock, Canadians, Canucks. The Canadians are minus 158. The Canucks are plus 134. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 108. Unders minus 112. Canadians minus 1.5 is plus 155. The Canucks plus 1.5 is minus 188. I'm going to go with the Vancouver Canucks plus 134 on the money line. They've been playing a lot better lately. I know the Canadians put up 7 against the Jets the other day. But I like going for value. And I think the Canucks are valuable tonight at plus 134 against Montreal. And last but not least, the Kings and the Ducks. The Kings are minus 130 favorites. The Ducks are plus 110. Over on the 5.5. Overs plus 102. Unders minus 124. Kings minus 1.5 is plus 210. Ducks plus 1.5 is minus 260. I'm going to go under 5.5 at a juice number. I think that Jonathan Quick and John Gibson have both been playing well of late. So this is the only juiced number I'm going to go with the under in the Kings-Ducks game. 5.5 at minus 124. Now I'm going to go over spring training scores from the weekend and look ahead to today's window of games. So we'll begin with Friday. Tigers and Yankees ended in a 1-1 tie. Marlins over the Astros 1-0 in 8. Braves over the Twins 4-0 in 7. Phils over the Pirates 3-0. Red Sox over the Rays 6-5 and 7. Blue Jays over the Orioles 13-4 and 8. Angels over the A's 7-3 and 7. Indians over the Cubs 10-4 and 7. Dodgers over the Royals 7-5. White Sox and Mariners ended in a 2-2 tie. Brewers over Rockies 12-3. Nats over the Cardinals 7-6. Diamondbacks over the Reds 5-3, and the Padres over the Giants 9-3 and 8. Saturday, Pirates over the Yanks 3-2 and 7. Mets over the Astros 6-1 and 6. Nats over the Marlins 5-3 and 6. Blue Jays over the Phillies 7-1 and 7. White Sox over the Indians 7-0 and 7. Royals over the Giants 8-6. Pods over the Dodgers 2-1 and 7. Cubs over the Brewers 3-1 and 7. Rockies over the Angels 8-2 and 7. A's Mariners ended in a 1-1 tie and 7. Rangers over the Diamondbacks 7-6, and Tigers over the Orioles 6-5. And yesterday, Yanks over the Phils 4-0. Brett Gardner had the grand slam. That was the lone, literally, runs of the game. Pirates over the Orioles 13-1. Braves over the Red Sox 5-4. Cards over the Astros 8-5. Twins over the Rays 8-4 and 8. Tigers over the Blue Jays 5-1 and 8. Mets and Marlins ended in a 4-4 tie. A's over the Indians 9-4 and 7. Rocks over the White Sox 1-0 and 7. Rangers over the Dodgers 4-3 and 8. Giants over the Reds 9-4 and 8. D-backs over the Cubs 5-4. Royals over the Padres 4-3, and the Angels over the Mariners 6-2 and 6. Today's games: 1:00 the Marlins and the Cardinals, the Mets and the Nats. 3:00 the Diamondbacks and the Giants, White Sox Dodgers, A's Royals Mariners Indians, Rangers Cubs, Angels Brewers, Reds Rockies. So a small window for spring training today. Now we'll go over NBA All-Star Weekend, which was just All-Star Day yesterday. Before the game, we had the three-point shooting contest and the skills competition. So in the skills competition, you had Domantas Sabonis knock off Julius Randle in the first round, and Nikola Vucevic knock off Robert Covington in the first round. Then Luka Doncic and Chris Paul had byes. And then it was Sabonis over Luka Doncic, and then Nikola Vucevic over Chris Paul. So the two contestants with byes had one and dones. And then the final was Domantas Sabonis and Nikola Vucevic. And who wins? Domantas Sabonis. I had him at 6-1 to win the skills competition. That was the lone bet I won over the weekend in the NBA All-Star Weekend. Then the three-point contest happened. You had Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Stephen Curry, and Zach LaVine. The three contestants that moved on to the next round were Stephen Curry, Mike Conley, and I want to say the last contestant that moved on to the next round in the three-point contest was Jason Tatum. Yeah, it was Tatum because Brown lost, LaVine lost, and Mitchell lost. And I initially had Devin Booker as my pick, but at the last minute he was replaced by Mike Conley due to injury. So I went with Donovan Mitchell as my pick at 5-1. That did not work out. And your final three was Jason Tatum, Stephen Curry, and Mike Conley. And who wins? None other than the best shooter in this generation, Stephen Curry. And then you had the All-Star game, which was very entertaining. Team LeBron blew out Team Durant 170-150. At halftime, you had the dunk contest. The top two finishers were Anthony Simmons and Obi Toppin over Cassius Stanley, as Toppin and Simons went to the final round. And the winner was Anthony Simons over Obi Toppin. And then All-Star game second half, like I said, it was a blowout. Team LeBron dominated Team Durant. And a subplot of the All-Star game is that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons could not play due to contact tracing with COVID-19. Their barber tested positive, so Embiid and Simmons were both had to send home, and Zion Williamson got the unexpected start in the All-Star game for Team Durant. And your All-Star game MVP was Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was perfect, 16 of 16 from the field with, I believe it was 35 points. So, good for Giannis winning the Kobe Bryant MVP trophy for the All-Star game. He seemed surprised when he won it. I think he thought that Stephen Curry was going to win it because he's Stephen Curry. But no, Giannis deserved it. He was perfect from the field. And he played great in that game. And maybe he's poised to have a big second half to push Joel Embiid and LeBron James for the league MVP award. So the NBA will return on Thursday. But if any NBA news obviously happens over the next couple of days, we'll talk about it. And then there's NBA news I want to get into in the news and notes segment in a couple of moments here. Now we'll go over the NASCAR results from the weekend from Las Vegas. And we will start with the Truck Series from Las Vegas. And your winner was John Hunter Nemechek in the race down there in Vegas for the Truck Series. And then the rest of the results are as followed. So number 1, John Hunter Nemechek. In second place was Kyle Busch. Third, Austin Hill. Fourth, Sturt Friesen. Fifth, Matt Crafton. Sixth, Zane Smith. Seventh, Grant Effinger. Eighth, Parker Kligerman. Ninth, Christian X. 10th, Ben Rhodes. The rest of it, Brett Moffitt, Tanner Gray, Todd Gilliland, Austin Wayne South, Johnny Sauter, Timothy Peters, Danny Bone, Sheldon Creed, Chandler Smith, Tate Fogelman, Dawson Cram, Spencer Boyd, Chase Birdie, Carson Hosfar, Chris Wright, BJ McClay, Jordan Anderson, Haley Deegan, Jennifer Jo Cobb, Raphael Lessard, Jesse Awuji, Derek Krause, Norm Benning, Tyler Ankrum, Tyler Hill, Corey Roper, Brett Holmes, Ryan Truex, David Gilliland, and Connor Daly. Now the Xfinity results from Las Vegas. And your winner was A.J. Allmendinger. So good for him getting the win in Las Vegas. In second place, Daniel Hemrick. Third, Brandon Jones. Fourth, Austin Cindric. Fifth, Noah Gragson. Sixth, Michael Annett. Seventh, Josh Berry. Eighth, Justin Haley. That was my pick. Ninth, Harrison Burton. 10th, Jeb Burton. The rest of it, Brandon Brown, Tyler Riddick, Santino Ferrucci, Justin Allgaier, Tommy Joe Martins, Josh Williams, Jeremy Clement, Joe Graff Jr., Jeffrey Earnhardt, Colby Howard, Landon Castle, Bailey Curry, Ryan Vargas, Garrett Smithley, Dexter Bean, Jesse Little, Greg Golding, Chad Fincham, David Starr, Jay Buford, Ty Dillon, Matt Snyder, Kyle Weatherman, Brett Moffitt, Alex Lav, Stephon Parsons, Timmy Hill, Ryan Sieg, Matt Mills, Riley Herbst. And then the Cup Series results. And your winner was Kyle Larson. Good, revenge for Kyle Larson. After obviously getting suspended last year for saying the racial slur on the iRacing last year during the peak of the pandemic. He's back this year racing in the Cup Series, and in race number 4 of the season, he comes out and gets a victory. So good for him. And in second place, Brad Keselowski. Third, Kyle Busch. Fourth, Denny Hamlin. Fifth, Ryan Blaney. Sixth, Martin Truex Jr. Seventh, Chris Bell. Eighth, William Byron. Ninth, Joey Logano. 10th, Eric Jones. The rest of it, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, Ryan Preece, Matt DiBenedetto, Michael McDowell, Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Chase Briscoe, Tyler Riddick, Ross Chaston, Anthony Alfredo, Cole Custer, Daniel Suarez. My pick of Alec Bowman was bad, 27th. And then Bubba Wallace, Justin Haley, BJ McClay, Garrett Smithley, Cody Ware, Quinn Houff, Joey Gase, Josh Bilicki, Timmy Hill, Corey LaJoie, and Eric Almirola. Rounds out the rest of the results from Las Vegas. So, NASCAR next week will be in Phoenix, and limited in-person attendance for the races. So Sunday, 3:30 on Fox is the Cup. Saturday evening, 5:30 on Fox Sports 1. on Saturday for Xfinity, and then the truck is a matinee race. Oh, wait, no. We won't see the trucks again until next weekend in Atlanta, so no trucks for the weekend in Phoenix. Next up, we'll go over the results from the Arnold Palmer Invitational. And your winner in the Arnold Palmer Invitational with 11 under, Bryson DeChambeau. Second place with 10 under, Lee West. With third place with 8 under, Corey Connors. Tied for fourth with 6 under, Rich Wierenski, Jordan Spieth, and Adam Putnam. Seventh with 5 under, Christian Ziedenhout. Big tie for 10th place with 3 under, Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood, Paul Casey, Will Zalatoris, Charlie Hoffman, Matt Fitzpatrick, Max Homa, and Keegan Bradley. Tied for 18th with 2 under, Brendan Steele, Hideki Matsuyama, and Matt Wallace. Tied for 21st with 1 under, Harold Varner III, Tyrell Hatton, Lucas Griffin, Sanjay M, and Emiliano Grillo. Tied for 26th at even, Dylan McCarthy, Ian Poulter, Harry English, Braden Grace, and Bo Hogg. The rest of the results, I'm just going to do notables. Tied for 31st with 1 over, Cam Triangle, Jason Day. Jason Day was my pick. He finished in 31st with 1 over. Not the worst, but not the best either. Tied for 36 with 2 over. You have a couple in there, including Kevin Kisner. Tied for 43rd with 3 over, Taylor Gooch, Max Hubbard. Tied for 49th with 4 over, Chesver V is in there, Danny Lee, Sebastian Munoz, Zach Johnson, Victor Hovland. Tied for 57th with 5 over, Tyler Duncan, Brendan Todd. Tied for 63rd with 6 over, you had Luke Liston there. Tied for 66th with 7 over was Lucas Glover and Doc Redman. 71st with 10 over was Henrik Norlander, and in 72nd with 11 over was Ricky Fowler. Patrick Reed was cut. C.T. Pond was cut. Mark Leishman was cut. Shane Lowry was cut. Dylan Fratelli was cut. Brett Horschel was cut. J.T. Potson was cut. Brock Stewart cut. Cam Champ cut. Adam Hadwin cut. Justin Rose withdrew. So there you have it for the Arnold Palmer Invitational. And then next up in golf, we got the Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass in Ponte Verde Beach, Florida next weekend. So we'll obviously cover that on the show. Now the latest news and notes. A lot of stuff that was happening over the weekend. Obviously, we talked about the All-Star game. Football-related, a Zach Ertz trade could happen soon. Multiple teams have inquired about the 3-time Pro Bowl tight end. Deal could happen within the next few days. That comes from SI. That's interesting. There's talks about them potentially cutting him because of his high salary. And I think that teams are reluctant to give up high assets for a tight end who isn't even a top 2 tight end in the NFL. The New England Patriots make a push for Jimmy G, as the Boston Sports Journal describes this as far and away their plan A. So we'll see if that happens. Can they get a first? Or can they, as in San Francisco, get a first for him or a second? I know New England got a second for Garoppolo. And because of the contract, that's what they might have to give up for Garoppolo. So We'll see if Jimmy Garoppolo ends up on the Patriots or not. I thought there was a chance at this before the offseason began, but I don't remember if that was one of my predictions or not. The Brooklyn Nets are to sign Blake Griffin after he clears waivers. This is a good signing for Brooklyn. He'll help them. He's played in big games before. And it's funny because the subplot of this is that him and DeAndre Jordan reunite after their Clippers tenure. So I know that people are going to be mocking the Nets and saying this is the 2017 All-Star team with Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. They're right. That is the 2017 All-Star lineup. But the 2021 All-Star lineup features the big three of Irving, Durant, and Harden, obviously. So there you have it. Blake Griffin to the Brooklyn Nets. But their crunch time lineups, I really don't know if Blake will be involved in that or not. We'll see if they play him at center or they just do the big three with Joe Harris and maybe Landry Shamet or Bruce Brown, or you play Jeff Green at center. And Bruce Brown has had an improved season for Brooklyn as well. Some NFL news just coming down from ESPN's Dan Graziano per sources. The NFL and the Players Association continue to work to finalize 2021 salary cap number. Union prefers to wait until TV deals are finalized. Due to the uncertainty, they are pushing their discussions about pushing out Tuesday's deadline for use of the franchise tag. Remember last year, the NFL pushed back the tag deadline because the CBA hadn't been finalized yet. So we shall see how this breaks. And obviously Tuesday, the franchise tag deadline, which is tomorrow. So we'll follow this more on tomorrow's podcast. And the last news and notes of the day is related to a player that could very well be franchise tagged by his respective teams, and that is New York Giants star defensive tackle Leonard Williams, as the Giants want him back, and there's mutual interest in contract, but they just have to make the money work, and that is according to the New York Daily News. Obviously, the Giants gave up a lot for Williams, and Williams had a great year last year and made the Pro Bowl. But there are some risks to signing him to a long-term contract because sometimes guys, after they get paid, just sit back and don't try as hard because they just are playing for the money rather than to win. So we'll see what the Giants do with Williams. If I'm the Giants, I just franchise tag him at the moment. And if you can't sign him, then you got to trade him and get a lot of value back for him. But if the Giants let him go, yes, it's a big loss, but they do have depth at that position with Dexter Lawrence and with Dalvin Tomlinson, assuming that Tomlinson is brought back. So there you have it for today's latest news and notes. And now I'm going to do my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. I hinted at it earlier. I'm laying the points with Cleveland State against Milwaukee in the Horizon League semifinal. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that was the line, but it was. So I'm going to lay 3.5 with Cleveland State against Milwaukee. All right, so there you have it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping the college basketball conference tournament games and looking ahead to tomorrow's games. Same for NHL and MLB spring training. I'll do a mock bracket tomorrow because we have time to do so. I will be doing podcasts all night tonight, previewing and predicting conference tournaments. Actually, in a couple minutes, I will post the Big West tournament predictions. And then tonight, I'm going to drop the following ones: the Big Sky, the Mountain West, the Big East, the SWAC, the Pac-12, the Southland, the Big 12, Conference USA, the Big 10, and the SEC. And also tonight, I'm going to have on Jared Smith, who is a big-time gambler, and he hosts a podcast of his own called The Morning After. So there you have it. for the show today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.